I feel like if I shave, GDQ is over.
Good luck.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lat Mackey, and this is Sequence Break, a podcast that features conversations with speedrunners, developers, content creators, and everything in between. And this is episode 72. Solo, as you can tell, there's a video playing, but what do you know? But I'm going to take a look back and going to do kind of a recap, or at least my experiences with Summer Games Done Quick 2022. And if you're watching this live right now, I'm interested in your experiences as well. So if you got any questions or comments, or if you just want to say, hey, hello, feel free to throw them in the chat. Otherwise, here are some of my, thoughts and experiences with the return. I shouldn't say the first. It's definitely not the first, but the return to in-person GDQ. And yes, some other speedrunning events have definitely been in person since or before here. And I think there's just this thing, this podcast, my podcast, I've tried my best to feature a fair amount of different marathon and speedrunning events, because our community is filled with just some amazing positivity and a wonderful variety and different types of events of all different shapes and sizes for speedrunning. Just to name a few, I've had Helix on from the Midwest Summerfest, the Midwest speedrunning event that I can't think of the name of right now, that I'm terrible about. Allie's been on for Power Up with Pride, Super MC Gamer for Zeldathon, Shasta for Calithon. We've even done stuff on ESA way back when, how ESA got started. So I'm a huge fan of all these different events and trying to highlight them the best that I can. Obviously, I may be a little biased because I participated in a handful of them as well. But, say what you will, GDQ is still probably the most watched, or at very least, the most visible speedrunning event that we have. And it raises probably the most amount of money for a really good cause, depending on which event it is. And so I think it's kind of just tough to ignore that, that this is one of the most prominent. It's kind of like our Super Bowl if we had one. And it doesn't seem like that's going to change anytime soon, which I'm not complaining at all about. I can't believe the totals are still coming in, but it was a little over $3 million raised for Doctors Without Borders. And that's kind of just wild that this event consistently has hit that, even when some of it was online, and that we're able to raise that much money as a community, not to mention all these other events that are raising money for charity throughout the year. It's just the consideration, the generosity of our community really just still continues to blow my mind, and I'm never going to get over that. So, I want to point that out at the very beginning before I jump into all of the other stuff, because it just, first and foremost, all of these events that we do that are raising money for charity are there to do something for good. And it shows you the power of what we can do together. And so that never gets lost on me, especially this is Sunday night. I'm recording this Sunday. GDQ just wrapped up very early this morning, I guess. And Covert Muffin was on the mics hosting while the 3 million was being set. And there was this bit of a delay as they were trying to get to the 3 million, because it meant that we got another run. And he was doing everything he possibly could with his voice to try to talk the chat into getting us to 3 million, talking donors into donating that, getting people in the crowd hyped. I can't believe that Covert Muffin survived that. And I can tell you a little bit on the back end, as one of the hosts, we were definitely rooting him on in the Discord, and everybody wanted to buy him a beer, give that man some kudos for what he did and carrying on the Lions share. I wasn't in the crowd for the 3 million point, but I will, seeing Mike Uyama run around trying to get the crowd hyped for it and everything. It literally, I was getting emotional, and the goosebumps was really popping up as it happened. So we'll get to that in just a little bit here as we do the recap, but I'm thinking I'll just kind of go through chronologically. I'll just try to share some of my thoughts as it happened. I'll share a little bit about my story of how it went down and how I got there. And I wasn't there for a ton of time, interestingly enough, this time, but I did get I feel like I got the experience of what it's like with, strict COVID precautions and things like that. So I was leaving on a week from today. So I left on a Sunday. The event started on a Sunday, so I knew I wasn't going to be there for the first day, but my flight got delayed. Then I missed a connecting flight. So I stayed the night in an airport in Phoenix while I was waiting for my flight. So I missed my first hosting hosting shift, which was I'll get to it in just a second. But so I was watching what you're watching right now, the pre-show on my phone while I was in an airport, and I gotta say they did a great job. For those of you that don't know, I don't know a lot about the pre-show, but I know they put a fair amount of effort into making this thing happen, and I know that they prep for a while, depending on what kind of packages they're putting together, video and all that kind of stuff. I really enjoy it. I've been in the audience once or twice for the pre-shows, and it's a really fun way to start the thing off. It's interesting because, at least in my experience, since I've been going, I can't remember the first one I went to. These are 17 or 18, but not everyone's there yet on day one. A lot of people have shown up, and all of the staff and the volunteers and all that, the crew are definitely have been there for like a few days now, trying to get everything ready. The hosts as well, and so there's this energy in the room, even though considering it's not packed like it will be a week from then, on the Saturday runs and the Friday runs and stuff like that. So I think they did a great job. I want to, Kung Fu Fruit Cup, Kizaron, J-Hobbs, always just total pros and having a lot of fun with it. The addition to ADEF I thought was wonderful and great. And I'm not just saying this because he's been on the podcast that I consider him a friend. I'm just saying this because I think he did a great job. For those of you that don't know, ADEF has a really interesting background, but one of his backgrounds is in acting. And so you can tell he's like a total natural in front of the camera and everything. And I think that really showed and shined, even considering they are all, kind of obfuscated by the mask and everything. But I thought the energy was there. You could tell they were all having a good time. And I thought it was just a really great way to start the marathon. I really appreciated ADEF showing up in the Spike fro, because I didn't know if Spike was going or not. I didn't ask anybody beforehand or anything. So eventually I did. The first time I knew Spike was going there was when I saw him when we were working a volunteer shift. So go figure. Anyway, this is the opening. And if you haven't yet, it is kind of fun just to see if you're curious about how the event started. I think it's kind of a fun little way to do it. And I felt like the hype was real just watching it from the intro. And here you go. Okay. I'm going to turn it off this silliness here for a second. And I think it's time to jump into some of the runs. And the first one that I caught here, and I've put together a little playlist, and so I'll try to walk through some of the stuff that I saw and just some observations and thoughts. And to be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure, how well the microphones will work with the mask on and everything like that. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've used any sort of audio equipment with masks on yet, and which is surprising. We've been in COVID now for a couple of years. You'd think at this point I would have, but I got to tell you, the way that the audio was set up, the video was set up, minus the mask in front of their face, it had this feeling of a game's done quick, like as if we hadn't taken 2 years off or whatever the precautions were. So impressed with the setup and how well it all looked and sounded and everything about it. Once again, the overlays are just pro. The whole setup looks just totally top notch. And this was the first run that I caught, which happens to be my roommate for the week, which was Mr. Shasta doing WarioWare. And if you had WarioWare Touched, I should point that out. And if you haven't played any of the WarioWare games, they're really fun, and I've always enjoyed them. Seeing the speedruns of them always make me feel like I am maybe perhaps the worst WarioWare player ever. But as always, Shasta just brings a great run vibe. Yes, once again, I probably am a little bit biased, being that I know him and everything. I'm trying to put the biases aside, but Shasta brings it. Shasta brings it in his runs, and this was no exception. And there's always kind of the thing I love about the runs that Shasta does is that they're executed at a really high level, and he runs games that not a lot of people, they don't have huge leaderboards and everything like that, but they're games a lot of us remember from our childhoods or just growing up through time. WarioWare Touched, or the Kirby games, or all these games that Shasta plays, great examples of this. I hadn't played WarioWare Touched until probably a few months ago, because I didn't have, I'm trying to think, I don't even have the disc. I think I played this on the virtual console for Wii U. I can't remember exactly where, but always fun to play WarioWare games and to have the nostalgia thing while you're watching the run. And Shasta brought it. I thought did a really great job with his run, and good commentary as well. And I think that's a huge help. And I didn't even notice Mr. Gaben Shout's on there on the back there on the couch. How pretty cool. Thing to note about the couch, yes, they did not have an actual couch. They They segregated folks on stage, and they had, their gaffers taped to mark all of the locations so they could keep everyone separated. And for the cameras, I will tell you, at least in my experience, now I've seen some tweets that maybe might not have, or maybe not, maybe I'm just, but I will tell you that the 6 feet was like strictly enforced in the stream room. I don't know if anybody else had this experience while they were there, but the audience, I don't know if you can tell, but all of the seats are 6 feet apart, front and back, left and right in the audience. And it was so strict. I saw, I believe, a couple, they were holding hands, and there was this couple, and they had brought their chairs a little bit closer together so they could hold hands. It was really cute and adorable. Security went in there and said, "Hey, would you please separate your chairs?" Like, they were that kind of strict. And any sort of mask augmentation or anything like that, they wouldn't let you in the room without that. Now, we were at a hotel that had people who were staying there that weren't, affiliated or going to the GDQ event. And so not every single person that walked through the lobby had a mask on them. But if you were anywhere near an event space, whether there's a practice room or anything like that, I felt like security was on top of it and really enforcing this stuff. But I think also, just as important, the people who were attending, the runners, the volunteer, the staff, it felt like it was really important to them as well to stay masked and to do at least the best that we can with trying to keep each other safe in this environment. And I really respected that. And I did see a couple of tweets that, I saw somebody walking through the lobby who didn't have a mask on. They may not have been an attendee. I don't know. But these are just, there's some things that happen. It's not perfect, but it seemed like it was about as damn good as it could have been. So hats off to the folks at GDQ for making that happen. And I also thought that security did a decent job also of, they had people at the door. They limited the entrances and exits so that they could monitor that kind of stuff. And I just thought it was really well done. Kudos to the security and enforcement folks over at GDQ. Okay, so if we talk, I'm not sure what else to say about WarioWare. If you're interested, or if this has any sort of nostalgia to you, give this one a watch. It was really fun, and they seemed like they were having a good time while Shasta was playing this. I am beveraging tonight, folks. So if you're listening to the podcast and you want to relax a little bit, feel free to join me. But if you're listening like in the car or whatever, do not do that. Probably not safe. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. What's the next one up we got here? Okay. Oh, this is going to be cool. Okay, so if you haven't seen this, you really should. So I'm trying to think. I have the schedule up while we're talking through this, and there are so many runs, unfortunately, that I just didn't get to see. Like, I really did want to see the Mass Effect, but I didn't see it. I didn't see Pokemon Snap. I didn't even see the first recap. I didn't see the Spyro, Perfect Dark, any of that stuff on the first day. But I did get a chance. This was the last run I caught before I got on my first flight, before the second one got delayed and got later, canceled and rescheduled. If you want to see Monkey Ball or Rolled Out or any of the Monkey Ball type games at a high level, do yourself a favor and follow Helix. They are an amazing runner, but also provide great commentary at the same time. And then they are a big supporter and just really person who's involved in the community and obviously cares a lot about it. The Super Monkey Ball community has been one of my favorite to watch. I kind of fell for them a few years ago when I think I was volunteering on the soundboard or photos. I can't remember. I was doing something volunteership to GDQ, and Helix was up there doing the run, and the couch that he had just seemed so enthusiastic about what was going on. Every little thing they seemed all into, and it made my little heart go pitter patter. I fell for them right then and there, and ever since I've been a fan of these runs, even though I've only played through Super Monkey Ball on the 3DS. It's my only game the only Monkey Ball game I've actually played the whole way through. This is one that I need to play through. It's on Steam right now. I'm trying to think if it's, I think it's out of I don't forget what they call their beta program, the green room stuff. I think it's actually a normal game, but constantly being updated. If you haven't played Rolled Out, do yourself a favor. It's a good time. We talked a little bit about it when Helix was on the podcast. So if you're at all interested about the run and the kind of the deep dive into it, feel free, do yourself a favor. You can go back into the podcast. I should probably have marked what episode it was, but it's somewhere in their feed. But Helix does a great job of telling us a little bit about some of the events that they're involved with as well, and highly recommend. Okay, so, but it was just the gameplay. The gameplay is on another level when Helix is out there doing the thing. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. And that is, okay, so soft spot here. Now, the way that I had my flights planned was I was supposed to be in the audience for this run, and it's a little tough to tell, but there weren't a lot of people because the Super Bonk run was very late at night, Minneapolis time. Plus, it was earlier in the week. So as I mentioned, it seems to be, and I don't have the data to back this up, but it seems like more people arrive towards the end of the week, especially because they have some bigger races and things like that, where there's more people involved and stuff like that. And so, as you can imagine, Monday night, or I guess would have been Monday morning, Sunday night, not a ton of folks in the crowd. But I will say that Led Ostrich did such a great job with this Super Bonk run. Obviously, once again, it's tough to just talk about these things without having the bias out there. I am obviously a Bonk super fan, whatever, feel free at me. That's fine. But I'm a fan of our community, all six of us. And Led, even after he had gotten accepted, he hadn't joined the Discord yet. So I'm glad that he did, and we all got a chance to support the run. Many of us had to watch it on the VOD, unfortunately. So because I was in flight at this time, I didn't make it in person, and I wasn't able to watch it in person at the time. I mean, on the stream. So that was live. Now there's a pot. I'm trying, JB. But Led did a really great job of like explaining the silliness and ridiculousness you're seeing on screen. So if you've never played through or have seen Super Bonk, I love all developers, and I know some of the struggles you go through when you're creating a game, but they had to be on something while they were making this game because there are just so many wacky things that happen in this game. And Led does a really great job of trying to rationalize and explain what the hell is going on during this run. The speedrun itself it's kind of a Bonk speedrun. We're all trying to do the same type of things where we're trying to be efficient with our movement. We're trying to look for places where we can go as fast as possible, usually using meat and other different power-ups. So that's kind of like standard Bonk stuff, but just the wackiness and some of the power-ups and the whole quote-unquote lore in this game is Led just did a really great job of explaining it. And I was really glad to see the chat kind of react to that. Like, what the hell is going on with this game? Because there's all these different size changes and different things you can turn into. There's all these different transformations. It is a Super Nintendo game. So if you have a flash cart, or perhaps you own a cart of this game, which maybe one day I might have to pick up one, do yourself a favor and just play a couple of levels in this game. You're probably going to get a little sick of it at some point because it does some things that are just a little bit trolly and kind of annoying as far as a playthrough goes, but it's super fun to watch. And Led just did a really great job of getting through all the silliness that is Super Bonk. So shout out to Led Ostrich for going solo too, by the way. His first ever GDQ live performance, and he's out there doing it by himself solo. So really impressive. Really enjoyed it. If you're looking for something maybe a little bit more niche on the schedule, do yourself a favor and watch the VOD of that one. It's a fun one. You like the PC Engine versions more, Vampire? I don't blame you, myself included. I'm much more of the PC Engine and TurboGrafx 16 versions. Those are the games I speedrun all three on the PC Engine. So but this game is wacky enough where I think it's enjoyable enough to try a few of the levels at least. As for Monday, I missed a lot of what was happening Monday because of my flight problems and my first hosting shift. So I was a host for GDQ, was supposed to be this run right here that you're watching right now, which is the Link's Awakening race between, this is the Switch version, the 2019 version, between TGH and Glan, or is it Glon? I apologize if I'm butchering your screen name. But this was like one of the first, holy crap, things I watched on GDQ. And I actually got a chance to be in the stream room about halfway through this run. So I missed the first part, caught it on the VOD. But if you're at all interested in like really high level speedrunning and you like Link's Awakening or even any of the Zeldas, or if you're just interested in really close races, do yourself a favor and watch this VOD. Now, this was the first one I also watched that was for some folks who were doing the remote version of GDQ, which I got to tell you, it was no small feat behind the scenes. I can't go into too many details. I'm not sure what GDQ is comfortable with sharing and stuff like that, but I know that it was not easy to get these things to be synced and to get the commentators to hear each other and to get the runners to hear each other and to hear the host and to have the producer and to have everything work properly. This run could not have gone any better. It is literally at times it looked like the runners were perfectly synced up. It was quite amazing. And this lasted all the way through the whole damn run. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here so you can, let's say we move in. Okay, so now we're about 47 minutes and look at this. I mean, they're basically fighting the same boss. They both had good luck and bad luck in certain places, but for so much of this match, they were synced like it seemed like within frames of each other. And I don't even know how that happens. Actually, I do know how that happens. These two practice their asses off and really enjoy playing this game at a high level. And this is what happens when you do so. And thanks to some of the magic that can happen behind the scenes, I think I can say that GDQ has some secret sauce that makes things so they can actually get this synced up. And it was real interesting and amazing. I guess you could probably talk about, because if you've ever watched the hotfix, anytime they're doing races and stuff, if you ever participated in the hotfix, you may know you have to like show your timer to the you have to send your timer over to GDQ. And that's one of the ways that they have some magic in the back end that can make some of this stuff happen. And it really was just a very close race, and it's everything you love about speedrun racing. It had some mistakes. It had everything. Was so many things were done at such a high level that I really feel like this just went fantastically, swimmingly well. And I'm actually going to skip ahead a little bit so you can see the last boss fight, just so you can see how close this thing really was. They're here like, okay, let's see if we can go back to the beginning here. If you're watching the video of this, I mean, they almost enter the room at this mere less than a second apart. I mean, this is just absolutely wild that they were this close going into the final boss fights. It's I don't even know what happens. They just did a remarkable job of playing this game at the highest possible level. So if you want a really good race and you're looking for a good VOD to watch at night, take a look. It's already on YouTube. Watch the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening Switch race between Glon and TGH. They dare I say it, they killed it, because I mean, this fight was unreal that they're this close to each other. Maybe they're a second apart. I don't even know. And then they got a slightly different patterns, but pretty darn amazing. One internet hiccup and you can imagine some people screaming, "Suspect, right? Suspect." So true, Vampire. The way that I understand some of the technology to sync up some of these things when people are like shitting your streams and all that kind of stuff is they do a slight delay. So I think it's something like, I don't know, 10 seconds or so that gets delayed. So they have this 10 seconds to play with to keep things in sync. And it's pretty amazing. It's more shocking that this game is already from 2019, right? Right? Who would have thought? I am surprised we haven't seen this engine used in other games yet. Maybe we have. If I'm incorrect, please let me know. But I really enjoyed Link's Awakening. If you go back and listen to the TGH episode, we talk about Link's Awakening a little bit. I really enjoyed my playthrough of this game. And I had already played the Game Boy version, and I think they just did a really great job of really enhancing the people at Nintendo. They know how to make a video game. Some other things, there are some reasons why we have such a frustrating relationship with Nintendo, but damn, they know how to make a video game. Okay, so that happened on Monday evening. I didn't get a chance to catch anything else from Monday night. I heard Friday Night at Freddy's was really damn fun, but I didn't get a chance to see it, so I can't really comment on it much. There's just so much happening in the schedule. I will say that Monday for me, I was exhausted because I hadn't slept basically for 30 hours. So I turned in early that night, and I don't even know if I visited the Monday night. Oh my gosh. How can I forget this? Okay. This is the other thing. This is actually, I watched this race, and then this is the last thing that I watched before I crashed. And yes, once again, I'm just going to be a little bit biased here because of the people, but the Phasmophobia run. What an interesting idea. What an interesting game. Let's first start with this. I knew very little about Phasmophobia other than what I had watched on Brosentia's, P-Segs, and Final Cat's screen. NPC, I don't think I've ever met NPC, but very familiar with the other three. I would consider the other three friends. Bro, I don't know as well as Final Cat and P-Seg, but I've had Bro on the podcast, and he's done commentary for one of my runs. I am just a big fan of all four of these individuals now. But big fans of them. So it's tough to talk about this run without being biased, obviously. But one of the things that I think GDQ has done really well over the last few years, and I got to say, I've loved seeing this. Power Up or Pride has done a really great job of showcasing things that aren't necessarily speedruns, or that are, they're featuring members of our community, but doing things that maybe you haven't seen before, or maybe don't fit the traditional mold of a run to the right and, try to finish the game as fast as you can. And I think this game fits it perfectly. Watching them play this game made me want to play this game. And if you haven't played Phasmophobia before, I haven't either. And the best way that I could describe it is kind of like a whodunit. You're trying to uncover a mystery as a group in a certain amount of time. And that's the way where the speedrun aspect of it comes in. So there's a lot of co-op happening, and you're really having to work with each other. You're uncovering clues. You're almost like a detective. I mean, you are a detective. And there are many different ways to do this. Watching the run, it took me a minute to actually try to figure out what the hell was going on. Now, Bro Essentially did a great job of explaining it. There was a lot of information to take in while you're watching this, and you're seeing the runners in different areas and different locations. But as you start to understand how the game works and how these pieces are put together, it became a lot more. I was way more invested in watching it and really rooting for the team to do well and to try to find these things. They actually did a really great job. In fact, things probably went so well that we didn't get a chance to see too many hiccups or things that may have caused some problems. They really did a great job on uncovering the clues to discover where the type of ghost that they were looking for, which is the kind of the main goal of the game. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that went along with this run, but I think it was so different, and I hadn't seen anything like this. But just to see the pure joy in the runners as they were doing this was, I think, maybe the most fun part. And I got to give a quick shout out to Flannel Cat and Peace Egg, who I was so looking forward to seeing in person, and unfortunately I didn't get a chance to meet up with them. But that's a lot how GDQ goes. I probably might have been just a little bit also on the cautious side of being around people. And I'm going to try to do better at that the next event I attend, which may not be for another year or so. I don't know. But I was really trying to do my part in, if I don't know what I've been around. I've been places where I didn't have my mask on, so I didn't want to put people at risk and like that. So I was a bit more antisocial than I sometimes am, and so I'm a little disappointed at that. But I'm going to try to get better at that if and when there's another event. It's Final Cut. You didn't know she ran this game. You only know her as a playing retro. Yeah, exactly. And then, you don't, Bro Sentia, P-Seg, these are folks who play a lot of retro type games. And so seeing them do something like this, I think was really cool. And seeing how much they love the game, I think is a big one. So if you want to see something completely different, do yourself a favor and watch the Phasmophobia run. Oh, one small thing, and I don't know how to fix this, but they were using proximity chat. And so they had Bro mic'd, but the other three individuals, it sounded like they were grabbing their audio from the proximity chat, not necessarily their headsets. And so it made it a bit challenging to hear them. And I don't know if that's something that could be fixed. Or maybe we could have, I don't know how do you fix that. And maybe they weren't using proximity chat. But it sounded, there was a little issues hearing some of the other runners, but honestly, it doesn't really hurt the full enjoyment of the run. So watch it anyway. Okay. Let's take a look. So then Monday night, I finally crash. Tuesday, what do we got on Tuesday? I missed almost all of the overnight morning stuff because of having to sleep, because I did have a shift. So Tuesday, I did my my actual first volunteer shift. The first one should have been the hosting, but this one I was something called a stream supervisor, which is kind of, you're monitoring the stream for content, and you're also kind of like a go-between between the stream tech, the stage tech, the sound person, kind of a runner around of things. It's my first time doing it. And so I had gotten there early to learn I was shadowing the previous shift. So the first run that I got to see as a volunteer was this run right here, which super excited to show this one. Mega Man The Wily Wars by my man, the Blacktastic Bobby himself, out there on stage with 8F. Watch this run. Just watch Mega Man The Wily Wars run by this person. Once again, I'm going to try to not be biased, okay? The Mega Man block, I did get a chance to see some of the runs after this, and there's some of the runs before it. Always fun. you can't go wrong with a Mega Man block. It's always enjoyable, always something to watch, always really interesting things to watch, in my opinion, with the Mega Man block. And I know I'm sounding like a super positive, that kind of person, but I love this stuff. This is like why you go to a GDQ. This is why you watch GDQ. And Bobby did not disappoint. Now, I've been watching Bobby run the Mega Man on Genesis games for quite a while, so I was pretty familiar with the run. But if you hadn't seen him, hearing all of the cool soundtrack stuff and seeing Bobby do his thing may have been a new experience for you. Bobby did such a great job, and I briefly got a chance to meet Bobby in person. We've chatted, we've worked together before, we've chatted some things. He's did commentary for one of my ESA runs, so I'm obviously a big fan, and so there's no way I could talk about it without being biased, but actually get a chance to meet him in person was pretty damn cool. And I don't even know if this is possible, but I think Bobby was actually like nicer in person than he is on stream, which I know, how is that even possible? He seems like such a sweetheart on stream, but he was just really kind. And I think we had like 2 brief hellos while we were riding elevators together. But I really did enjoy his run, and I thought he did such a great job. And if you had to like just pick one Mega Man run, I would recommend this one because it's one thing they did really great job of. Games Committee, kudos to you, is picking Mega Man games we haven't seen before. Mega Man Powered Up, Mega Man Extreme versus Mega Man Extreme 2, Mega Man The Wily Wars, and Mega Man 5. Like, no Mega Man X's. I mean, this is like, this is kind of wild. No Mega Man. I mean, Mega Man 1 I've seen so many times. Mega Man 2 and 3 we've seen a bunch. So I just thought it was really cool that, I don't want to say the forgotten Mega Mans, but some of the Mega Mans we don't get a chance to see too often in GDQs actually made their appearance. And all of the runners, I saw all of the runs after this one as well, and they were quite good. And hats off to all of them. I'm trying to think if there was, it was just, it was just a really quality, high level run. Oh yes, Vampire. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Vampire is foreshadowing the TaskBot segment that we'll get to here in just a second here, because that was, for me, that was the high point of the event. Okay, spoiler alert. I already gave it away. Excuse me. I'm going to take a quick drink of water here, and because I'm lazy and don't like editing these things, I'm going to keep this in the podcast. Here's what I sound like when I drink water. Isn't that fast? No need to apologize. I appreciate it. I'm glad you all here are joining me here tonight. If you're watching this live, we're going through, if you're going through your GDQ withdrawals, here's the podcast episode for you. Okay. So the Yakuza run. So this was the bulk of my stream supervisor shift. If you don't know Yakuza, this run, I think, was it like 4 hours or something? It's quite a while. It's quite a long time. I was into this thing the whole freaking time. This was such a fun run. If you like 4-hour runs, or if you like the RPG thing, they put this one, by the way, it was right on in the afternoon, evening. I mean, it was almost prime time. And there was so many interesting things happening in this game, and the commentary by Froob, who's also the runner, but also the couch, Goskumo and Mechanical, I'm not sure how to say the last part of your name, but I'm just going to leave it like that, was phenomenal and on point. And I know nothing about Yakuza. I know that there's a whole series of them, and that they're kind of connected. You do want to play all of them. They're so wild and outrageous. That's the other thing I do about them. There's all this kind of wild stuff, and they're set in Japan and all that kind of stuff. What a fun run to watch. And this run really captured all of the kind of just wildness that is Yakuza. And this one, I think the part that really captured this was we were doing some donation incentives for this one. And we had a chance by the end of this thing to hear the karaoke segment towards the end of it here. Let's see if I can find the karaoke segment right. Maybe it's right about here. Let's see if we can see some lights going off in the background. Okay, so the run's over, and where is it? Okay, it's in here. Oh no, where did I miss it? At some point, Froob is gonna sing karaoke here, and it was awesome. Where am I doing here? I don't know if I'm gonna find it because I am lame at this stuff. But it was a lot of fun. Folks busted out their cell phones and were joining along. Oh, there we go. There it is. Okay. So in this game, among other things that you can do, you can sing karaoke. It's so wild. And Froob did a great job with the couch. They all did so well. And these are the kind of things you want to donate for, right? Just seeing some of this silliness. And it was really well done. And I just got a kick out of it, watching this and having all the cell phones go off in the background. So kudos to Froob, and what a run. Okay, the Halo Infinite was pretty awesome, and I only saw bits and pieces of it. But I was back in my hotel room trying to get some sleep at this point for the Super Mario Odyssey run by Ganon. And I really love Odyssey. I've never tried speedrunning the game, but I just have such a strong affinity for the game. That's probably why I enjoy seeing the runs. And there are so many runners I enjoy watching play this game. This was run by Ganon, and I am now following Ganon because I want to watch his streams because he's holy crap as he played this game at a high level. It was a darker side run. If you're not familiar with the darker sides, after you beat the game, this whole other segment of the game opens up called the darker side, and you get to play all these levels that try to find all these moons that you didn't even know were somehow hidden in the game somewhere. The thing that Ganon did just a great job of running this thing, and the thing that I loved the most about this as well was the commentary from the whole team: Lim, Cube, Spike, Vegeta, and Dangers. And okay, so Spike and Dangers have been on the podcast. Go listen to their episodes if you haven't yet. But Dangers is just such a pro, and really seems like the commentary thing is the most natural thing ever. And so being that he also runs the game at a super high level, you get this really authentic, but also really professional commentary from Dangers. Spike, I'm probably going to sound like I'm the biggest Spike homer ever, but he's been doing this for so long. I almost just forget sometimes how great he is at doing the commentary thing, knowing his stuff, doing his research. Spike runs the game, so he's familiar with a lot of the strats and the community and stuff like that. But just did a wonderful job. And Limcube, somebody I wasn't familiar with, just perfectly matched all four of them on stage there. And if you like Mario Odyssey, the speedrunning of Mario Odyssey is just so much fun to watch because you just see some unreal gameplay, and there are so many wonderful categories. There's so many great runners to watch and streamers to watch for this game. If you haven't yet, I'm sure go find, if you like Mario Odyssey at all, just check out the leaderboards on SRC and do yourself a favor and start going through some of them, because it's pretty darn amazing, and this run is no different. Definitely, just really great gameplay all at the highest of levels. I had heard the Mario Party run was really fun. I was passed out by then, and I did want to watch the Worlds Collide randomizer for Final Fantasy VI. Unfortunately, sleeping at this point. Now, Klonoa, I do need to watch. It's one of my VODs on my to-watch list because of Doug Veloper. Thank you so much for recommending the game and the VOD. I do want to watch that at some point, and I will. I don't know when. Okay, let's get to the Sonic block. What do we got next? Let's see here. Okay, so this is going to be, I'm highlighting here Sonic Advanced, and I'll get to that in a second, but I did watch all of the Sonic runs, and I love the Sonic stuff. I know Sonic's not for everyone. I just love how fast it is. It's fun to play, it's fun to watch, and it's fun to speedrun. I think it's got all of those things working at once. It's not for everyone. I get it. I get it. Sonic isn't necessarily everyone's thing, but I really do think that the speedruns are really amazing what they've done. And now that we're getting more familiar and more comfortable, now that we've seen Sonic on the stage now for better part of a decade, going back all the way to Mike 89's, stuff way back when, Sega Junkie, back at the original GDQ. So I guess that's 12 years, whatever it's going to be. We understand zips and some of the things that as a viewer, we can understand a little bit more what's going on. And all of these runs were just super fun to watch. Okay, hold on a sec. Gotta delete. Let's see, I don't even know how to do this anymore. It's been so long since I've done this. Okay. So the video you're seeing right now, this is of Kirby Masta playing Sonic and Fans. And I wasn't familiar with Kirby Masta until the GDQ. Now I've gone back and watched, been at GDQs for almost 10 years now, 9 years. 13 or 14 was his first, where he had his first run in, and this guy is fun to watch, and commentary's so good. But I love how excited Kirby is to talk about the games, to stream them, to speedrun them, how great the couch was. Emre, Ghost Kumo, and Nuclear are on the couch here, and they did a great job with the commentary, especially considering like Kirby Masta is almost like a one-man band up there. He's able to do it all, like do all these crazy glitches and tricks and all that kind of stuff, while he's still telling you everything he's doing at the same time. And I point that out because that's not easy to do. I know it's just playing the game and talking about it. When you're trying to do the game at this level, where this is the Knuckles run of Sonic Advance. There's multiple characters you can play in Sonic Advance. There's all these different things you have to do, and there are the inputs correctly at the right time. And so be able to talk and do that at the same time, it's never going to cease to amaze me. I'll tell you that. But this is a fun one because I don't know if we've seen Sonic Advance on this stage. Maybe we have. I didn't do my research on this one, as you can tell, but Kirby Masta brought it, and the donation incentive was for which character to play. So Kirby Masta had to prep many different characters to prepare for this run. And Knuckles won closely. It was going back and forth between Amy and Kirby Masta, and Kirby Masta is the one that ended up winning in the end. So there you go. The Sonic block did not disappoint. Tons of fun, and I'm actually going to play Sonic Advance now on the that's what I want to say about Yakuza. Having seen the run, I actually purchased Yakuza on the Steam sale that's going on right now. So if you're listening to this during the Steam sale, do yourself a favor. There are plenty of titles if you haven't picked up one. Okay, now I'm a shill for Steam sales, of course, right? Okay, let's see. So. Okay, here's the one. The podcast episode after this one is probably going to be featuring this runner, as long as we can work out a day and a time. This is Sunny Muffin running Tunic, and I won't spoil a lot of the games. I think even if you're watching it, it probably won't spoil it too much. But this was such an awesome run to watch. Yes, I'm hosting during this time period, okay? I'm not just throwing this out there because I'm on the microphone. They had the developers for this game on the call to do commentary, as well as Corva May, who I was not familiar with. Now I am a huge May fan. I have followed her on Twitch. I'm subscribed to her podcast. I am all about May. She did such a wonderful job sitting on multiple couches this week. But holy crap, was this run amazing. First of all, if you haven't played Tunic, it's like a Link to the Past meets Dark Souls is the thing I've been told. But I would also say there are some really challenging puzzle elements to it as well. So what's a challenging puzzle game you may think of? I don't know. It's got all three of these things really mixed up together, and it is just such an amazing experience. I'm about 5 or 6 hours into my casual playthrough, and I can't put the game down. In fact, when I'm done recording this podcast right now, I'm probably going to play some of it tonight because it is such a fun, challenging, punishing game. Holy crap, this game punishes you. I literally have died already 100 times, I'm sure, and I'm only 6 hours in. But just hearing the developers talk about the game was absolutely incredible. Vampire saying developers in the bomber voice. Hearing these two folks talk about the game, and then seeing the Twitch chat come in, like so many people are passionate. This community, folks around Tunic, the game's only been out since March, and to see such a passionate fan base for this game already, it was awesome. Maybe you want to play the game first. I totally understand that. But at some point, watch this VOD, because Sunny Muffin did an awesome job playing through the game. But then hearing the couch commentary from Muffin and the developers at the same time, it is truly something special. And it really gives you some tremendous insight. Like, just for an example, one of the things Sunny Muffin can do is like, hey, can you patch that out? Or can you do, you can request something of the developers while you're running the game. Saw multiple dev on couches this year. And the additional insight was great. Totally agree with you, Melly. I love hearing that. Maybe because I'm a geek, at heart. And I just love hearing how things are made. But hearing these devs talk about it, one of the devs is actually a GDQ volunteer speedrunner. Like, he's from Power Up Audio, Kevin. And he there were so many developer donations during this. Like, people who worked on this game were donating during the marathon. It was just so wonderful and amazing. One of those things it's tough to replicate outside of a marathon experience. And Sonny Muffin just did such a wonderful job with it. I can't wait to talk to him about this. And I'm so glad he's going to give me some time to do so, because I really do want to go in depth on what that experience was like and how the hell you just ask the developers to do that. I mean, I'm assuming this game is popular. I don't know. There's not a ton of people speedrunning it yet, but because it's such a punishing game. But, I think the game is done well. I hope it's done well. The reviews were very positive about it. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to read a couple of comments from the chat, folks. I know if you're listening to the podcast episode, this is going to be a little bit weird, but I just seen a lot of stuff come in. How you doing, Emily? Good to see you. JB says, I like the trend now of having more couchers, including devs and other guests, right? Being included via remote audio. And I'll tell you, it was no easy feat to make that happen. And it sounded great. You could hear everyone see and talk, and there wasn't a big delay. Like, they worked their asses off behind the scenes to make that work. When one of the devs said that the runners, that he thought that they knew more about yes, one of the devs even says, yes, it sounds like the runners know more about the games than the devs do. They kept asking, hey, was this, intended, or did you know about this? And so often you heard that, yes, they did discover some of these things through the QA process, which is kind of really amazing. To be honest, you hadn't heard of it before GDQ. Okay, that's actually interesting to hear. I hope more people discover this game because of GDQ then. Oh, you're part of a development team, Vampire. Nice. And Vampire, maybe I'm saying, I apologize. Is it Vampire or is it Vampire? I apologize if I'm screwing up your screen name. But seeing so many dev teams get highlighted during this marathon was just really awesome. And I'm probably rambling on a bit about this, but I was just really touched and moved by this whole thing. Both go. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. In the interest of keeping this thing moving, so this podcast episode isn't 2 hours long, we're going to keep on moving. And let's see, what do I got next on my dial? There's a lot happened on Wednesday. Was jam-packed. There was just so much. Everything was interesting. Okay, so I'll talk about this one briefly just because of how fun this was. I didn't get a chance to watch all of this, but if you watch them just pure fun, do yourself a favor and watch the Pokemon Emerald Randomizer. Keys are on, Shenanigans, 8F, 360 Chrism, and Keys. Why does it say Keys on the running thing? Wasn't Etiquette there too? Wait a minute. I feel like, okay. Okay, so this is Keys are on, Shenanigans, 8F, and 360 Chrism. Apologies, wrong run. Anyway, this is super fun, super interesting. I think a lot of the randomizer stuff that's happening. Exactly, Emily. There is always something interesting happening in the Pokemon speedrunning community. And I know we kind of, lump randomizers into the speedrunning stuff, but it's a lot of times after we've played a game so many times, we look for something else, a new way to play the games that we love. And randomizers are one of the most obvious and easy ways if one exists. And if one doesn't exist, let's go create it. And so hearing all of the things that can be done in this game and hearing, Keys just always is going to crack me up, and hearing all of the back and forth and the banter. It's a super fun run to watch. I did not get a chance to watch all of it. I just saw bits and pieces of it, but I know it's something, if you enjoy some Pokemon, you're going to enjoy this run. Okay, let's see. Next, I'm probably going to do this one pretty briefly. So I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched Spike do a run. Spike can still do some damn speedrunning. I shouldn't say still, like he's never. Spike speedruns every day on his channel, and I watch a fair amount of it. This is a game that he is really adamant about that more of us need to play. And I got to tell you, I have it in my case. I own this game I have the cart right over here, and I still haven't played it yet. I do need to play myself some Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. But, he did a great job, and the commentary is just 10 of 10. Ghost Kumo, Ghoul, and Derpy Dragons on commentary. Even if you know nothing about the game, I think it's pretty fair and easy to watch this run because they tell you everything that's going on. And if you know anything about Donkey Kong Country, you're going to enjoy this run. And it did make me think, maybe it's about time that I actually give this game a try. I'm curious if anybody else has yet. I'm wondering how many people have actually played Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. It got great reviews. Like, there are so many positive things about this game. And it still felt like the whole time that Spike was like, please play this game. He's trying to get people, this is a great run, those kind of things. So that's always fun and entertaining. And I enjoyed the bits and pieces that I watched of it as I was, I wasn't starting to crash it. I was probably getting some dinner at this point or something like that. So I couldn't quite remember. Going to take a quick sip of the Elijah Craig tonight. Okay, now next is Minecraft. Okay, so I just want to have a full disclosure here. I know very little about Minecraft. I have only played the game like once or twice, and I know, how dare I, that's probably blasphemous. I might be ostracized from some speedrunning circles. I don't blame you. Please do so. I don't know very much about Minecraft. I know many people love it, and I believe that it is a great way to engage people in the creative process and to get their brains maybe perhaps, using it in different ways than maybe you have before. I love seeing young people. There's so many things I love about Minecraft is I love how it engages a diverse group of people. I'm talking about age groups and backgrounds and ethnicities. I see Minecraft really seems to, and maybe this is video games in general, but Minecraft, I just see so many different types of people playing and enjoying and loving this game. The thing I know about Minecraft speedrunning, unfortunately, is what happened, the whole Dream thing. I didn't even know who Dream was. I still barely know who Dream is, but this cheating scandal that went down, the thing that fascinated me the most, and I should probably do an episode on this, is how the moderators uncovered speedrunning cheating going on in this game. Blows my mind. But I will tell you that this run was fascinating, entertaining, interesting, all of the superlatives you can use to describe a run. New Minecraft runs are kind of rough. They made it way harder to run for some reason. Well, that's the thing. And I know when I was checking the speedrun.com leaderboards about Minecraft, they do run the game on different versions. So there are different leaderboards. Yeah, totally agree, Emily. The statistical analysis for it was really interesting. And it's one of the things I wanted to dive into because I'm not a statistician. I did have to take a bunch of stats classes for a business degree, in college. So I know I have a slight understanding, but not at any sort of level that these folks are, I feel like, who were moderating this game. It was really interesting. More importantly, there was an incentive to be met to get this game on the schedule. And I'm glad it was met. And I know that, a lot of people really enjoy Minecraft, and there were a ton of people watching this, which I thought was really cool. And you got to see some cool glitches. And you got to see a bunch of cool speed tech because it was a glitches category. So Billy Mitchell does Minecraft now. No, there was... The best way I can describe it is a popular YouTuber, Minecraft YouTuber, was submitting speed runs, and it wasn't even a world record run, but his run was not approved, and it was because he was accused of cheating, and accused because of some really interesting statistical analysis done by the moderators on the leaderboard, which, wow. Really high level stuff, super interesting. And there's probably some videos on YouTube about it. I'm sure if you want to look up the drama. It's unfortunate that's the way that I became a little bit more familiar with the community. I knew people speedran the game, but I didn't really become familiar with it until some of the drama behind it. And I don't, that's unfortunate. That's the way you maybe find out about a game, but interesting nonetheless. Okay. Let's keep it going. Next we have, okay. I'm going to do a really brief mention here. So this is Lumion, and it was a race between Breakdown and Ellipsis, and Clage was on the couch. The reason I bring this one up is because Clage, I believe, has been to every single GDQ ever. Clage is up there with the amount that he has attended as well. And I'm not too familiar with Ellipsis' background, so sorry, dude, if I'm getting your background wrong. But this game looks beautiful. I added it to my wish list immediately, and it was there was a bunch of interesting things going on. It kind of looks a little bit like Celeste and Ori. I would say the gameplay looks a bit more like Celeste, and then the art style is a bit more like Ori. But it was a really fun run to watch, and just seeing like some folks that have been on the stage for so many years was, me, if you listen to this podcast or you watched my show that was on GDQ way back when, I'm kind of nostalgic and really appreciate and love the history of our community and of the speedrunning scene. So just seeing these folks on there still doing the thing, it really got me in the nostalgia vibe for that. So if you want something a little bit different, do yourself a favor and watch the Lumion run. They have a name for like every trick in the game, which is super kind of cool. You don't always get that. You don't always get that the community has gotten to a point where everything is named. So I'm catching up a little bit on the chat here, still talking a little bit about the Minecraft stuff, which is it's pretty funny, but the Billy Mitchell references crack me up. Okay. Keeping this thing going. I think I was doing audio during Lumion. I was volunteering at some point during this shift. And I should probably mention, so this is Thursday. At some point on Wednesday night, I may or may not have visited a poker game. I wasn't too social while I was at the event. Did get a chance to see a fair amount of people, but not nearly enough. And one of the nights I ended up in a poker game that I probably shouldn't talk about too much, but just know that it went well with a thumbs up. Okay, let's take a look. What do I got next on? Okay, here is one of the high points of the event, and maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. By far, this was one of the high moments of the event for me. Do yourself a favor, go to YouTube or go to Twitch, wherever you like watching your VODs, and load up the Kirby Tilt and Tumble run as performed by Swordsman Kirby with Alta Biscuit and Mr. Shasta on the couch. Holy crap, was this fun. If you can't see the video right now, Swordsman Kirby is literally holding a GameCube console to play this game, to speedrun this game. And it's not like he's just, it's a kind of a gimmick or whatever. He's speedrunning this game by holding the whole damn console. It was so freaking fun. I couldn't believe what I was watching when I saw it, and I saw him loading up the whole thing. It is so wild. Now, if you're not familiar with Kirby Tilt and Tumble, I can't even talk at this point. It is a Game Boy Color game that actually had, one of those gyroscope thingies in the cartridge. So you could tilt and pan and all those kind of things with your Game Boy Color console to play this game. I'm not sure how responsive it is. If you've ever played this game, please let me know if you're in chat right now or if you have a comment about it. I'm not sure how responsive the thing was. I will say it was really impressive to watch Swordsman Kirby play this, SK. And now they claim, I'm sure you could record yourself playing the game. If you had a phone set up on, you could probably submit a run that way. But basically, they said if you want to stream this game, you kind of got to hook it up this way. So they have a GameCube with the Game Boy player attached to the bottom of it. And I don't know if they kept the disc in there. I assume they did. But excuse me. Once the game starts going, he's literally rocking Turtle Tilt, Kirby Turtle Tilt. He's literally rocking the console, tilting it left, tilting it right. It is absolutely wild and entertaining and super fun to watch. If you can only catch one VOD, I've got a couple. You should put this on the list, okay? This would be like if you only catch like 4 or 5 runs, do yourself a favor. It's a GBA cart in the GBA player. Got it. Okay. Well, it was really impressive, Melly. And I kind of agree with you on Vampire that Summoning Salt makes it clear how much effort goes into expert speedrunning attempts. That's no spinning. Well, I mean, all this kind of stuff. It's no spinning disc. Correct. Yes, that's absolutely accurate. That's one of the ways I believe that they can, keep it safe and everything. SK and Shasta and Alta Biscuit just did a great job. But it was really fun to watch. It was just incredible. I really can't believe I saw something like that. It's not too often you see a whole console being played. Literally, the entire console. Fantastic. Okay, hydration break. Everyone hydrate. Let's water up. Even if you're listening to the podcast episode of this, go ahead and hydrate. It's okay. You can do this. We can all do this together. Correct. And I don't remember if SK took the disc out of the console after he had loaded it up. I will say, on a side note, the GBI software is absolutely amazing. That's the software that you makes it possible to get these really high quality video signals and a whole bunch of other things out of the GameCube. It's amazing what it does. You can swap it out. Gotcha. Thought you just needed it to bootstrap. I think you're right, Melly. I think I remember them saying that. I'd have to actually, maybe we can see the beginning of the run. Oh no, they already had it set up by the time. I'll ask SK because I thought that was really interesting. I might have Shasta or SK come back on the podcast to talk about this because I'm curious on how this whole thing works. It was really fun to watch. Okay, I might have to switch over tabs here. No, we still have more. Okay. So here's an interesting one that I never in a million years would have thought I would have found interesting. And I have nothing against Xenoblade Chronicles. It's a series I've never played. And holy crap, is the Xenoblade Chronicles community passionate about Xenoblade Chronicles. This was a donation incentive and they had tons of things going on. And Elle was the runner. Chugga Conroy is on commentary, and Legrandron. I am now a new uber fan of Legrandron, but their commentary was on a whole another level. Enel's gameplay was great, and this is an RPG. If you're not familiar with the Xenoblade Chronicles, it sounds like a very connected RPG world. These games are like 100 hours each. I think the one that they're showcasing here is Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna. It's like a kind of like a DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So it's not the full 100-hour kind of gameplay, but I know that there is a lot of hours you can put into a Xenoblade Chronicles game. The amount of knowledge that all three of these individuals brought to this run, I couldn't even understand it. I will say it was pretty amusing in Twitch chat to watch some of the discourse and discussion that was going on, because obviously the community is very passionate about their game. There was a lot of people trying to correct people and people trying to say, oh, you should know this about that and what order to play the games in. There was a lot of I don't know how it wasn't trolling, but it was a lot of people who are passionate about their game trying to tell others how passionate they are about their game. So you can imagine what Twitch chat was like during this run. I was getting a good chuckle out of it, but I will say that I was absolutely impressed and fully respect the performance that these three individuals brought to the stage. And I say these three because what they brought was just there's a lot of lore to tell, and there's all these different fights and all these different things you're doing. There's, as with any RPG, and I got to give it to Xenoblade Chronicles, it's not just about menuing to make this speedrun happen, which I thought was super interesting. There's side quests you have to do. There's a really interesting routing you have to do. There's a really interesting run here. And I thought that was just really interesting, and it kind of captured. I watched more of this than I ever would have thought that I would have watched. And I gotta give a shout out to Chugga's YouTube channel. I visited his YouTube channel and Enel's after this just to see there is a ton of content they have both created to kind of go over some of these things. And I am being told now that I need to pause. I should play some Xenoblade Chronicles. I got to find 100 hours of my life at some point to do this. I don't know when I have the time to do that right now, but looks like that's a lot of, well, actually, yes, so true, Murdoch, so true. What was funny about the correct play order to avoid spoiler talk was chock full of spoilers as a reason for the argument. Yes, Melly, that's what I found the most amusing myself. I'm like, wait a minute, you don't want spoilers, but there's this correct order. It was just so funny. Chugga is a huge Xenoblade fan. I think you could kind of tell that by his commentary. He had his phone out for some notes and everything, but he didn't use very much of it. I'll tell you, because I was volunteering at the time, so I had a shift going, and just the things spouting off. And same with Legrandron. I could not believe it. By the way, you should watch Legrandron's run as well. Oh God, what did Advance Wars? Legrandron ran Advance Wars, and he's from France, and he just did such a great job with his run. Super knowledgeable on these games. And anyway, if you're at all interested in the Xenoblade stuff, this was a really fun run to watch, but just really interesting. And maybe you want to watch it with Twitch chat replay if you want a good chuckle. I guess that's my polite way of saying it, right? The battle mechanicals, okay, maybe it's time to stop drinking water. The battle mechanics are very interesting as well. Got it. Murdoch, I had 3 different volunteer. I was hosting, I was a stream supervisor, and I was running the audio at different times. So, it's funny because I guess I didn't tell anybody I was going. A lot of folks weren't sure that I was going, which was very kind that they actually cared, but I guess I wasn't very social about it. And I'm not sure 100% why. Maybe I'm forgetting how to be like a person with other people. It's been so long, with the COVID stuff, but it was great to see some folks. Oh, I totally agreed to pause. Personally, I didn't find his voice annoying at all, but I was just like, his knowledge was on a whole nother level. And I felt bad because I didn't know who any of these people were. So as I was getting them all mic'd up and everything, I'm like, commentator person on the chair, can you say something into the microphone? So, and then little do I know, Chugga's got 1 million subscribers on YouTube or something like that. Something wild. Okay. Let's check out the next one. We keep going. We're in Thursday now. And oh yeah. Okay. If you want something maybe you've never seen before. Now, you probably know by now, I'm kind of a Brian Otto fan. I mean, how could you not be a Brian Otto fan, right? But This is a really interesting run, Solar Ash, and I had to watch this on VOD. I don't know if I was sleeping at this time or if I was dinner. Wasn't in the room. I wasn't watching this one, but I'm quite familiar with Bry's Titanfall 2 speedruns. I've been trying, folks, at some point we're going to have a Titanfall 2 episode on the podcast. I promise. Just trying to make it happen at the right time. But Bry's run was awesome of this game, Solar Ash, and I haven't played it yet, but I've added it to the wish list. Just a lot of interesting things happening in it, interesting tech, high level gameplay, and the game looks beautiful by the way. It's got a really interesting art style too that I really found captivating. I don't have a whole lot to say because I had to kind of skim through the VOD. I want to watch the whole thing front to back, and I was just as always, I was watching Bry prep for this too. I was watching his stream while he was prepping for this. So he's been running the game now for a few months, and it's really quite good to watch. And look, we haven't even hit the million yet. So if you're watching the donation totals, JB, you have a quick comment here. The social aspect of attending in person. The one time I went, I felt like I missed out because I stayed in a hotel 30 minutes away, so didn't bump into people. Yeah, that's one of the things that surprised me about attending GDQs, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast, there are a fair amount of streamers who are just like flat out introverts, and not everyone is as comfortable or as outgoing just to say hi to somebody. I definitely understand the feeling like when you don't want to bother somebody when they're practicing, or you don't want to bother somebody in the hallway or anything like that. And one of the things that helped me get a little bit more social with folks is to just to let that person know what you like about them. So many of the folks there, I've watched their streams and I enjoy or I've watched their VOD or their PB and their speedruns. And if you're ever looking for something to break the ice, one of the things I've always thought about is just like, nowadays I'll go up, I'm trying to think of somebody I had met for the first time this week. I didn't talk to many people this week. It was such a different thing, but I can just remember, Linkus, 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know Linkus. We've tried to get together on an episode. At some point, Linkus will be on the podcast or on the GDQ show. At some point, something will happen. But I didn't know Linkus at the time, but I was a huge fan of his Wind Waker speedrunning. So he was in the practice room. He had finished a run and he was just, doing his thing, checking his phone or whatever. I'm like, Linkus, I just want to tell you, I love your speedruns. I think your streams are really fun. And thanks for providing, so much entertainment for so many hours. And it's just like a real easy way to break the ice. I know that's still uncomfortable, people, but I promise you, all of us are there to like hang out with other speedrunners. I promise you. And if you just can think of that, maybe that'll help you break the ice if you ever do attend one of these things in person. Yes, Melly, I totally agree. I only heard bits and pieces of it, but right, the developer for Solar Ash was on commentary as well, and totally agree. There was some great commentary there. I did stay in the main hotel. I'm trying to think if I ever stayed outside of the main hotel. I don't think I have. And I know it sucks because it can be more expensive, but if you can find a way to do it, it does help to stay in the hotel. That's definitely one thing I would agree. Even more fun if they come up to you and recognize you. I'm sure, Vampire. I'm sure. Suffer, how you doing? Good evening. Okay, folks. Okay, we got to keep this thing going. This podcast episode is going to be like an hour and a half. Okay. Well, this one definitely had the Twitterverse going ablaze. There are so many clips that came out of this speedrun, and that is the Step Mania, I guess you call it speedrun. Spooty Biscuit and Windu, probably mispronouncing the name. Zello was on commentary. That was the thing that got, and sadly, I did not watch this live. I'm so bummed. But if I had to recommend just 5 if you wanted to only watch 5 VODs from GDQ, this would have to be up on it. The couples exhibition is the category. Holy crap, is this thing amazing. I don't even know how they know what they're doing, especially as you get later on in the run. So I'll skip ahead a little bit here just so you can see how kind of this game gets ridiculous at one point. And it was just, it's just amazing. This is one of those things where you're just it's something you've never seen before. We have had, I can't remember if it was Step Mania or one of the other type of games that was on GDQ before, but it still blows my mind. And you can see we've over $1 million at this point, but it just, look at what they're doing. They're just walking around and they are not missing anything. Occasionally, maybe they will, but I mean, it's incredible. I wish I could say more about it. You got to watch it. This is one of those things that is just kind of beyond words a little bit. Seeing the chat go ape crap in the chat. Twitter was all ablaze with these runs. The clips are just everywhere. Let's see. That was the event where you first heard of me and then a stranger until that event. Oh no, we were see, JB, we could have met. It's okay. We'll meet at one again. I promise. Thankfully, I'm usually hanging out in the practice room, but this is an event I was almost not at all in the practice room. Now, a lot of it had to do with I was volunteering a lot and I was shadowing a lot. So I was in the stream room a lot, and I don't know if that had something to do with it, but I was also exhausted. I think that not sleeping for 30 hours really messed with me a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe I was just trying to be too cautious. I really wish I knew, but needless to say, at the next event, it will not be that way. Okay. Moving on. Okay, well, I won't say too much about this one. I'm huge fans of Spike and Nukes. So if you want a really just fun, great commentary, great entertainment, also had Worm on the couch, do yourself a favor and watch the Ocarina of Time randomizer with Spike and Nukes. Yes, I'm fans of these two people a lot. I only got a chance to speak with them briefly both, but I can, it was great to see them, and I'm glad they made it. I'm glad this run was in. You should watch this run. It's fun. It's great. They did such a great job. I know Nukes has been working her ass off to get, to be on that stage and to do the thing. So that was so cool. She did a great job hosting. Spike did an awesome job, as always, on all of the interview stuff. And I'm really impressed by both these two individuals. Worm did great. This was really good. Go watch this run. That's all I have to say about it. Okay. Because this podcast is going to be 8 hours if I don't keep going. Okay. Next one. What do we got going on here? Okay. Now we're getting into the task stuff. Here's where it gets interesting. So, one of the rules that was a long-standing rule for GDQ was that there had to be an individual, a person, doing some sort of inputs to make the game happen. And the task community, rightfully so, had lobbied the powers that be, and they did this publicly, but also respectfully and professionally in a private form as well, asked if GDQ could reconsider their stance on that. And that's one of the reasons, you saw TaskBot so often, was because TaskBot could take a completed task and do the inputs live on stage. And I don't remember when it was that the rules changed, but they did. And I am so glad and so thankful that they did. For those of you who have listened to the podcast for any amount of time know how big of a fan I am of the tool-assisted speedrun community. And it goes way back. One of the first guests I ever had on the podcast was Memory Task, who is one of the judges at taskvideos.org, but then Duango AC and a host of others, Ty Kevin, so many other amazing, wonderful taskers I have had I've had on the podcast. You don't even know if you sub to the channel. Vampire, you don't need to. It's totally fine. I just love doing this, and I'm very fortunate that I have a day job. So the Portal 2 task was actually a video. It's one of the, I don't know if this has been done before. If somebody could correct me, or I'm going to have to ask some GDQ historian type folks, because they played a video for a number of different reasons. One of the reasons being that Portal 2, some of the RNG in the game makes it really challenging to play back a tool assisted speedrun in real time. So what you're watching is actually, and they were very upfront about it, an edited video of a lot of frame by frame inputs. So that being said, if you've ever watched a Portal 2 real-time speedrun, it is bonkers. Where they go out of bounds and the glitches and the clips and everything they do, highly recommend. If you haven't watched, there's been a bunch of great ones at GDQ. Watch a Portal 2 speedrun. If you haven't played Portal 2, do yourself a favor and play Portal 2. It's super fun. I don't even know how you like describe what genre would you consider Portal 2? I guess I call it a first-person puzzle game. I don't know, but this TAS was absolutely incredible. And the commentators, Can't Even Lug and Baster, did such a phenomenal job talking through this. Sometimes so many wild things are happening when you're watching a run like this that it's almost tough to see what's going on. They did such a great job of describing all of some of the things that went into and the people that worked on it and how long these things, a task like this takes months. Like, it takes a very long time to put this together. And the community that puts these things on and works together to make these things happen is just absolutely incredible. And okay, so it's inbounds, no save load abuse. That was the category that they were showing off. Did such a great job. It's a really fun one, and I just could not believe what I was watching. It was one of those ones where I kind of just turned it on and I was going to watch it for a little bit. I ended up watching the whole thing because it was so freaking awesome. Duango AC is very open to talk to. Yes. That's one of the great things about Duango as well. And I guess that will be a perfect segue into our next run. This is going to be the Ocarina of Time TAS by a ridiculous amount of people and team that went into putting this on. If you're going to watch just one run and you're anywhere over 25 years old, watch the Ocarina of Time TAS done by TASBot Duango AC, as directed by Soren, and has played they did some actual inputs, player inputs, like real time by Save State. I have all of I literally got emotional watching this run. And they did such a good job of the storytelling. Never have I seen the team put together a story like they did with this one. We've seen bonkers. The most watched videos on GDQ's YouTube channel are the TASBot stuff. Just to let you know, these are incredibly popular. When I had the GDQ show and we did the TASBot segments, incredibly popular. Tons of people tuned in to watch and to hear all the behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. This is a team that knows how to put on a show and to show you some things you've never seen before. They started it off like they would a conventional, normal TASBot segment. They were telling you about some of the, really intricate and complicated stuff that they were going to do. They were setting it up. It seemed all like it was going to be a normal, I wouldn't say normal, but a TASBot type of run that we have seen before. And they did everything and so the first, I would say like 20, 25 minutes or so, it kind of felt pretty straightforward. And then at some point, TASBot does a set of inputs, because TASBot is plugged into all 4 inputs on the Nintendo 64. By the way, if you don't know yet, they're playing on an unmodified N64. They're playing on an unmodified Ocarina of Time cart. This is all standard stuff. You see Link move in a few different ways as TASBot is doing a set of inputs. And that is when, holy shit, everything starts happening. It may not look like it at first, but what they started to do, and the thing that I didn't quite realize when I first started, when the category was this thing called Beta Showcase. And I know that we have there have been some things happening in Ocarina of Time where, we've started uncovering and seeing some interesting beta elements, basically showing you different things happening through the development process of this game. And I got to say, the Hard for Games folks have been doing a bunch of great stuff on this. So if you're looking for a place to kind of understand or to see some of the things that went into Beta Quest, do yourself a favor, go over to Hard for Games and watch that. You start to uncover and realize that what this run is going to be is they're going to start linking together the things that were there in the development of this game with what is there right now. And they're doing it through inputs, controller inputs. Now, yes, there is a ton of stuff that's happening that had to happen years. Apparently it took to make this run happen. I'm going to fast forward a little bit so you can start to see some of these Beta Quest elements. But what they're showing you and what they're uncovering is some things that perhaps were in the game at some point during development. And it starts revealing itself in some really unique and interesting ways. And all of these they were created by, some of these things were actually on the cart, but other things were taken for some of the other beta elements that have been uncovered. And a team had to put these together, and they had to somehow code them into the game. And the way that they do that, if you're not familiar, you should just go watch the run, because they do a really good job of explaining arbitrary code execution. And oh God, what's the other one? The one with the S. I can't remember. I've already drawn a blank on what the other one is that they do. But basically, they find exploits in the game and they take advantage of them. And it's the way that they're able to deliver code to the game and actually write code to the game through controller inputs. User after free. No, it's something with an S, and I'm totally drawing a blank. It's arbitrary code execution, and where are the developers when you need them? Something with an S. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. It's just this. I've been talking for too long. That's why this is stale pointer manipulation. Thank you, Melly. Oh my gosh, that's the other one. And what they do with these elements is they start to, if you may remember, if you ever played Ocarina of Time, you never use or get the Triforce, right? Like you get all these medals and medallions, and all of a sudden, at some point during this run, the game becomes about getting and using and actually achieving perhaps what we all thought might have been part of this game, and that is the goal that is Triforce. And because so many of us have grown up on Zelda, it is by far my favorite series of games ever. Yes, I'm a total fanboy. The way that they were showing how this worked and how they did this, they actually told a story while they're showing you all these amazing things. And Save State was, is doing a lot of the inputs, but TaskBot is doing a team of tons of people helped put together, made this story come to life. And I want to skip ahead. It's not really spoiling. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. But there is this segment towards the end. I'm going to see if I can skip ahead to it. I think it's around here. Okay. Where you're in the, oh gosh, what is this area called? The Realm of Sages, I think it's called. I should, as many times as I played Ocarina of Time, I should probably know by now. They created this whole area. I mean, this is in the game, but they were able to gain access to it, use it for storytelling purposes, using it for gameplay purposes. And that they actually pulled this off was just absolutely, look at this animation. I mean, this was created by this team. Like, this is amazing. I could talk about, I'm so in awe of this, and I'm hoping I can get somebody at some point on the team to talk about this, but there's been a bunch of YouTube videos that have dropped. They did a great job of getting this stuff out there. And one of the things I also loved about their presentation of this whole thing is they let the story speak for itself at times, and that almost made it more emotional. I was home by now. I had to go home on Thursday. I had to leave early. It was a whole thing. It was scheduled to leave early. I didn't have to leave. I wasn't like forced to leave early, but after my shift. So I was at home watching this with everyone else and being in the chat. And what they did towards the end here to bring a community together, rarely have we seen it executed at this level on the GDQ stage. And I am literally getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now. And they have shown us how they've been able to, implement webcams and the chat before into different games using just inputs on the controller. But once again, they do it, and they asked us all to be here together in the chat. And the moment was just so perfectly spoken, and it's just two words that are yes, they're so simple, but yet they feel like for this moment in time, I felt like we as a community and the 100,000 people that were watching, and and maybe more depending on the restreams and all that kind of stuff, it felt like we were all one for just a moment. We had shared a moment all together. It's not too often you get to do things like that. And so at some point you get to see what the chat is doing actually in the clouds, just by various inputs, because a really smart and hardworking group of individuals figure out how to do this. And I'm getting emotional just watching it again. And it's so silly, but holy crap, was this amazing. Never really seen anything like it. If you watch just one run from SGDQ 2022, I gotta say this is the one to watch. All the time Save State was playing, TaskBot was inputting the new textures and sound clips and enter the Twitch chat, and they rolled it into a narrative. My head was buzzing after this. Yeah. The fact that they made this a narrative experience, when I do got to say, when Dwango was on the podcast, he mentioned that there were a few times where in retrospect, they may have lost the audience in some of their presentations because it was so complicated on such a high level that it was tough. Sometimes it's tough to find that narrative there that really connects. They landed this so freaking well. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about all the time that this team spent on this, and then to see it actually work and be successful and be executed perfectly. Excuse me. I'm so happy for them that they were able to do this. And at one of the GDQs, was it 2019, maybe SGDQ? Maybe it was AGDQ. I don't remember. But I got a chance to go to lunch with about, 7 or 8 of the TaskBot teams. And they are all just lovely people, but they were on such another level on how they think about things and how they are able to execute and stuff like that. I'm in awe of what they're able to do. And this was no exception. It just really hit in all the feels, and they did such a good job. It was truly, truly amazing and wonderful. Okay. Have I spoken enough about the TaskBot segment? Because by far, as you can probably tell, this was my favorite moments. Okay, well, let's keep moving. We'll kind of get through some of these next things a little bit more quick. If you want to see something really cool and interesting, watch the Celeste.smc run by Mr. Mighty Mouse, Frozen Flagon, and Mark Alarm on the couch. It's just a really interesting, what the Super Mario World community, let me take that back. In fact, let me water up here before I talk about this. Here's what the task team can do. Push the limits of the platforms they target. No kidding. Oh man, my voice is starting to get, sorry, I'm starting to get a little scratchies in the voice. I'm going to try and get through this, but I'm feeling the cough. And I don't want to cough into the microphone. I'm going to mute for 1 second, folks. Excuse me just one moment. Okay, we're still here. A little more water. I'm also sweating pretty good. Okay. One more cough here and we'll get going. The Super Mario community has been pretty amazing, wild, incredible for what they've been doing now for over a decade. And this is just another example of the amazing things you can do with freaking Super Mario World. And so if you want to see something you've never maybe seen before, although a lot of our community was playing this game when it came out, do yourself a favor and watch Celeste.smc. Great run, great commentary, super fun to watch. This is the Super Mario World race between, oh my gosh, how am I going to get all these names? Barb, Juz, Carl Sagan, Shevda, Shoujo, Third Wall, and I think that's it on the runners. Excuse me. Had some phlegm back there. The creativity that goes into these levels was on a whole nother level. Great race by all. So much fun watching the players this good play this game like this for levels they had never seen before. I loved every second of it. It's kind of interesting because this was on a little bit after the TaskBot presentation, and some friends of mine were Discording back and forth. I'm like, how do you follow the TaskBot segment at this point? And I'll tell you how you do it. You get some kick-ass high-level Super Mario World going on. That's how you do it, folks. Special shout outs. First of all, Carl Sagan's been on this on this screen now for over a decade and still just really playing these games at a high level. Unbelievable. Even though, he doesn't, maybe he streams once a week kind of thing if we're lucky. So the fact that he's still doing it is amazing. Super shout outs to Shoujo, who you'll see in this race and then in the Super Mario Maker race. Absolutely incredible gameplay. Some amazing blind reads I couldn't believe. Just on a whole nother level, and happy to say if you haven't yet, do yourself a favor and watch the Shoujo podcast episode. She is amazing. Yeah, Shoujo was clutching her sight reading, right? Her streams are awesome. Besides, she plays the games, any game she plays, she's playing it at a high level, but she's also a really good entertainer and streamer as well. And if you want to know a little bit more about her, feel free to watch the podcast episode. But of all things, I saw her on one of Grand Pooh Bear's, was it Fall Guy competitions, I think? Or maybe it was something else. but Fall Mania things. And I was like, who, this person is just destroying everyone else. What is going on? And immediately followed and thankfully got her on the podcast because I have a feeling she's going to have a few more followers after this GDQ. The gameplay was so good. She was doing so well. But also, you could follow any one of these individuals for some great, like Shevda was just streaming today on Sunday. Awesome Mario player. She does great. I wasn't quite familiar with Third Wall, but now I'm going to be. And Jez Cook, I've been watching forever. Level designer, great ROM hack and Mario Maker level player. So just a great, and Barb, what can we say about Barb? I just, let me just say something about Barb. Probably many of you are familiar with him. He is actually, I think, a really great person so far that I've noticed that we have as one of our most popular speedrunners in our community. And I say this because he time and time again has made comments and done things publicly that obviously show you he cares about our community, but then represents it in a really positive light. And I think he's a great example of, what our community can be and also how we treat each other. And if you don't know what I mean, don't even worry about it. But he's been very public about supporting diversity and also not allowing for hate and, all that other crap that's out there in the world that unfortunately targets our community sometimes. Okay, there we go. Cool. Ratcheting. If you want a fun run, let me go back to this. If you want a really fun run, watch the Ratchet and Clank run. I had this because I've been at home now. I've really just been watching the whole GDQ mostly, and Zem and his couch were awesome. If you want just a ton of fun, watch the Ratchet and Clank run. You're not going to be disappointed. Great gameplay. I've never played the game, but after watching all of these folks have so much fun with this run, I may have to give it a try. What can you say about Linkus? Just the game. Linkus plays this game, and a few others who played at Linkus's level played on a whole other level. It's the way that they have torn apart this game, but then also the way that you need to execute to make this game work the way that they do is absolutely incredible. And yes, the commentary is excellent because they're explaining all the tricks they're doing, but literally for 2 hours and 45 minutes, you're just going to see amazing trick after amazing trick after amazing trick after high-level gameplay after high-level gameplay. It's all connected, and it's absolutely amazing. I don't really know what else to say about it because we've been seeing Linkus do this now for years, and it just never ceases to amaze me. It was just great. I never get tired of it, and I probably never will. Yes, I'm a Zelda fan. Okay, call me out. Whatever. At me. There you go. In honor of Linkus. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay. This one was really unexpected, and if you spend any amount of time in, speedrunning YouTube land, you may have come across Seth Bling's content, and there's a good reason. Seth Bling has found so many with many individuals in the community. It's not just been him, and he's very open and honest about sharing the folks who have also discovered a lot of these things. But Seth Bling showed us a work of arbitrary code execution here, and now they were able to. They had to switch carts out at some point, and I don't think that bothered anybody. They probably didn't even need to call it out, and I don't know if we even noticed. But they played All Stars. All 5, by the way, any percent, in a way that I had never seen before. Didn't even know it was possible, probably because I have not been watching enough of arbitrary code execution streams so I can know what the hell was going on. They did a great job of explaining and seeing what was going on, but it's been a while since I've seen a game torn apart like this. And I know we had just seen it the day before in the TaskBot segment. But it was really kind of cool to see the All-Stars version. I have an affinity for All-Stars. Now, the first game that I ever speedran was Super Mario Brothers 3. So obviously I've got this place in my heart for the Mario folks. But I did, for a little time, I was putting some time into All-Stars, All 4, any percent. And because I'd like to, at some point, that's on my list. I'm going to speedrun that. I don't know when, but it was in my wheel. It's it's about the amount of time I can spend on a speedrun and stuff like that. So seeing this go to using arbitrary code execution to get to, getting to the credits, wrong warping to credits and things like that was really, really cool. And seeing it done in the way that it was, and seeing that they had others join them, seeing GTA Ace up there on the couch holding the controller, same with Dwango, and seeing ISO Freeze do the thing. Pretty darn nifty, pretty cool. It's not a long run, so if you're looking for some quick entertainment, do yourself a favor and check out this one. It was a lot of fun, and Seth Bling just does a really good job of kind of explaining and kind of letting you know what's going on screen. It really helps out quite a bit. Okay, man, how many more did I... didn't see Devil May Cry. Let's see what I got. Okay, so this is now we're into some other territory. I think this is out of my list. Okay, cool. Let's go over to Twitch here, and last couple of runs here I'll mention the Kaizo Super Metroid run. Wow. It always surprises me to see folks who have been on this stage multiple times, who play these games at a really high level, and also who stream to on average 1,000 people every night, still have the nerves and talk about their nerves. Pangea Panga talked about it during an interview during the stream. Who were some of the other? Oates was being really upfront about how he was just really nervous about this run. And it reminds me that these people are human, Oates was on the GDQ show once before, and his knowledge of this game is really... He knows the ins and outs, and seeing somebody who plays this game at this high a level still get nervous and stuff, in my opinion, just added to kind of like the interest and the intrigue in the run. Rarely a GDQ goes by where we don't see some form of Super Metroid. And when we did the GDQ show about it at the time, and I think it's still the truth, Super Metroid has raised more money for Prevent Cancer and Doctors Without Borders than any other game that's ever been on the marathon. This game is just always a super fan favorite and is always great at bringing in donations during this time period. And if you may remember from a couple of years ago, Oates did a run of Super Metroid Impossible, which was everything was on the edge of your seat. And I think it was Ridley, where we had to do Ridley like I don't know, it must have been like 20 times or something like that, because he kept dying and stuff like that. This run, for everything being as incredibly hard as it was, there was only 8 deaths. He only died 8 times in this game. And it's just every kind of like few minutes of this was interesting going on. So if you're looking for one of those little bit longer runs, this one's a really good one. They try to explain all the things that makes it really hard. It's always tough to kind of understand, or at least to fully grasp all of hey, what makes this Kaizo thing so challenging when you're watching it live, because they're doing it, they're making it look... Oates is making this look so easy. Yeah, let me tell you, there's no way in hell this was as easy as he made it look. Especially with his nerve, the fact that he was so nervous about it is really the things that surprised me the most about it. And it was a ton of fun to watch. Okay, I guess we could talk a little bit about the Super Mario Maker 2 run. What do you say about this? This was a really fun relay race. Who was on it? I mean, it had a lot of the folks who were in the other Mario race. One of the things I want to comment. So I was watching Shevda's stream today, and Grand Pooh Bear was talking about it a little bit as well. The amount of effort that goes in behind the scenes to make these relay races happen is kind of wild. It's similar to the TaskBot thing, where you literally have dozens of people, dozens of designers, developers, debuggers, testers, judges, all those things to make this thing work. And the fact that these end up in a GDQ on the stage and make it look as easy as they do. There were other things that they were doing during these races as well, like trying to keep some sort of COVID protocols going with the distance and the controllers and all these other things. Really amazing what we saw. And it was really enjoyable and really fun. And while I do want that all of these runners deserve the praise, we've seen Panga now on stage for years, getting to see Arthur and Jez again and Carl. I got to give a huge shout out once again to Shoujo, who just, man, the MVP to say the least. And I'm glad she got so much love in the chat and on the social media, because she definitely deserves it. She was playing this game at a level that was just kind of unreal with some of the blind reads. Okay. Elden Ring, fantastic. I don't know a lot about the game, but I know a little bit about Kata. Oh, I did the SM64. This was fun. Now, they had some technical issues at the beginning of it, but then they got it straightened out and it really started to come together. Seeing the 120 star. I don't know Simply. I've never met Simply, but I know that he can play this game really well. So if you want to see some really high level Mario 64, you can watch that run. The Elden Ring stuff. So we're getting towards the end of the marathon and we're going to finally start wrapping up this podcast episode. That's like 80 hours at this point. But Catalyst is an amazing runner. If you're not familiar with Dark Souls or Elden Ring or any of the Soulsborne games, Catalyst has been just knocking a world record holder in a bunch of games at different times. And I was very fortunate enough to get a chance to talk with him again on the GDQ show and just hearing his approach and how much he dedicates himself to the game. But also, I got to believe that there's like some natural born talent in what he does, because to play these games at this level is just unheard of. Not unheard of. It just takes a lot of dedication, you know? And I haven't played Elden Ring. I haven't played any Soulsborne games, actually, but I do know that they're very challenging, and I do enjoy watching. I mean, we've got a horse, just, you know, these are the kind of things you're going to watch in a run like this. This was the Alm Remembrance run. I think it was upgraded on a donation incentive. It's a great way to start to wrap up the marathon, and the amount of donations that all of this stuff started garnering was kind of unreal, especially as we got towards that $3 million mark. I think I started off the podcast talking about what it's like to raise $3 million. I wasn't in the room. I can only imagine what the energy was like in there and how many people actually have a voice left. But Covert Muffin was doing the hosting duties at this point, and it felt like he was doing everything he possibly could to will $3 million into existence. And I got to believe that high level gameplay like this from Kata and the energy of the chat and the crowd really helped push the whole thing over the $3 million mark, which we had just a little bit later on in the run. Let's see if I can find it somewhere here in the VOD. There was an extended period of time where we were waiting. Hey, there's Mike running back and forth. If you're watching the video right now, at some point, Mike Uyama is trying to do his best to get the crowd going. Cameras. Oh, no, this isn't Mike yet. I think Mike actually starts doing it when we're at the 3 million mark. Okay, there we go. We finally got it. Oh, geez. I can't believe how quickly $100,000 was raised. That was quite frankly shocking and surprising. I can't remember a time where 100 grand was raised that quickly. Really incredible and amazing. And I didn't think it was going to happen. I honestly did not think it was going to happen. I am just kind of blown away that it did. And it makes you, if you watched, if you were in the chat, if you participated as a runner, if you attended, if you were a volunteer, there is just something about that communal makes you feel proud about doing something like this. If you're familiar with Doctors Without Borders, they do some really amazing work. And the fact that we all come together to somehow raise $3 million for them is just, well, it's just kind of unbelievable. What a week. Didn't think it was going to, I wasn't actually, let me take that back. I wasn't quite sure what to expect. Maybe a lot of people weren't. I don't know what was going to happen after being away for that long. And, you know, the online events lacked some of the spark that goes into having a live in-person event. And I wish there was a way to sugarcoat that, but you really can't. And so the fact that the whole team and everyone behind the scenes that tries to make this thing happen came together to actually put it on, pretty amazing. Kind of unreal, and just proud and also amazed that it all happened together. I know this podcast has gone on for way longer. This is the longest I've ever talked by myself, so I'm just like, I feel like I might have to go pass out after this, but I didn't even get through my beverage completely because of all the talking. But I really did enjoy my week, even though I had to come back early and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't see nearly enough people that I wanted to. Like, that's my biggest gripe about the whole thing, mostly because I was working a lot of it, but I'm glad that we got a chance to do it, and I hope this sets the stage for a lot of good to come in the future, for what we can still do together as a community. because it's really important. And it's also a great way to showcase all of these different things. Like, speedrunning isn't just one community. It's a combination of hundreds and thousands of communities and hundreds and thousands of people. So it's pretty cool what happened. Hopefully, if you didn't get a chance to watch, maybe this helped you out a little bit. Maybe it helped you pick your next VOD to watch. There's plenty of time to catch up on it. I'm sure we're all going to be, coming down from the high that was the last week for a while. So I'm going to read a couple of comments here before we call it a quits. eBloodyCan, hey, EBC, what's up? A lot of what makes a GDQ is the physical crowd and physical atmosphere. I totally agree. There is just something about that crowd that gives it that energy that makes it a totally different thing. The fully remote GDQs were fine for what they were, right? But they did lack a certain communal energy, right? Don't get me wrong. We still raised millions of dollars while in a remote-only situation. But there is just something about being together. And there's something about being here together, if you will. That's gotta be the name of the episode. I'm just gonna call it Here Together, because I am so glad that that's still a thing, and that's basically the takeaway from this event, and couldn't agree with it more. So, folks, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed and this is your episode, thanks so much for listening and watching and actually hanging in there for the full hour and whatever this thing is, almost 2 hours worth. If you got any comments, leave them. Feel free. If you're new to the podcast, feel free, like, subscribe, all that kind of fun jazz that blah, blah, blah people say at the end of videos. I don't know. If you want to share with somebody there, so this is episode 72. There's literally 70 something episodes at this point of mostly guests. I mostly have guests on the podcast when we talk. The next episode will have a guest on it. We're probably going to talk some tunic. I haven't recorded it yet, but just to let you know. So if this is something you enjoy, feel free. And thank you so much for listening and watching and all that kind of fun stuff. Stay tuned. There is still plenty more. I'm doing about twice a month right now. I'm going to try and do a little bit more, but I'm so busy. It's very challenging. I'll promise I'm going to try to keep a little bit more regular content coming for you. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.